of finance and specifically the semiconductor industry. Our focus for today's video is AMD, or Advanced Micro Devices. Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you won't miss out on our latest financial insight. Now, let's jump right into it. AMD, also known as the underdog of the semiconductor industry, has been making waves in recent years. With the market cap surpassing $280 billion, it is crucial for investors to understand both the risks and the upside potential of this tech giant. Let's start with the risks here. Investing always comes with risks, and AMD is no exception to this rule. One significant risk is the cyclical nature of the semiconductor industry. Economic downturns can impact demand for electronic devices, which in turn affects AMD's sales. Additionally, the company faces intense competition, not just from other semiconductor companies, but also from macroeconomic factors like supply chain disruptions and geopolitical tensions. And as you can see here in regards to market share of data centers, you can see that AMD is not really taking market share here, but rather are losing some ground here over time to NVIDIA. But we can also see that Intel is doing pretty bad. So they certainly have a lot to do, in order to gain back some of that market share that they had, because they're coming from levels where they had 17% and they're currently down to about 8% market share. So quite a drawdown here in terms of just data center market share. Before jumping into the upside of the company, we'll just look at the stock price, and we'll obviously talk some more about some other risks here in the company in this video. But for now, the stock price here, we can see that the company has produced a 623% here for the past 5 years, beating that of the S&P 500 by far. So this is a very good stock to have owned if you have owned it for many years here, as you can see, and it looks to be as it's just growing and growing. So this is certainly a very interesting company to research, because it looks like they have been pretty fueled here by the semiconductor industry as a whole that has returned massively here in the past couple of years. And if you liked the video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And before we move on, I would like to hear from you. Have you invested in AMD? And what has been your experience so far? Drop your thoughts and comments below. It's always fascinating to hear from the community and what your thoughts and ideas are about these stocks that I'm sharing. And now for the net sales of AMD, and we can see that the company did produce a $5.5 billion here in 2014, and it's been pretty stagnant or flat for a couple of years here, not explosive growth really, up until 2020, where we could see that the company did produce a $9.7 billion here, and then it's just been growing and growing. So here in 2022, up to $23.6 billion. However, in the most recent quarter, trailing 12 months here, we can see that the company has produced a lower $22 billion here for the most recent quarter. So a little bit lower, but overall, very nice and impressive growth. So for the past 10 years, as the company has grown its revenue here from 5.5 billion to 22 billion here for the past 10 years, that means that the company has increased its revenue by 300%, which is very, very impressive. And not a lot of companies can actually say that they've done so. And here's one of the reasons why AMD has been so successful in terms of net sales. And we can see here that the market share has increased by almost twice that of what they had in 2016 for desktop computers, for example. So they've done really well with Ryzen computers, or Ryzen CPUs rather, compared to Intel, for example. So that's one of the drivers, of course. And we can also see here that the server business and the overall market has done pretty well for itself when it comes to AMD. If we then shift to earnings per share, or EPS, we can see that the company has been pretty unstable when it comes to producing a positive EPS over the long run. So we can see here in the first couple of years here, for 2014 to 2016, they did post a negative earnings per share here, but then they managed to get a positive again here in 2017, and has been able to do so up until pretty much now in the most recent quarter here, where we can see that the earnings per share has actually come down quite a bit here. So it's been reduced here by 92%, so massive decline here. And it's also been quite a decline here from 2021 to 2022. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can push this back, because at the end of the day, earnings per share is a quite important key metric here that many investors look at for sure. So yeah, but it's kind of difficult to assess the company going forwards based on the historical numbers here, because they are kind of, volatile, going up and down here, as you can see. And now for the cash flow situation of this company, we'll look at the cash from operations. So we can see here in 2014, AMD produced a negative $98 million here in cash flow. But we can see here, however, in the most recent quarters or years, the company has produced a positive cash from operations again. So in 2021, it was 3.5 billion. In 2022, 3.6 billion almost. And actually here in the most recent quarter, we can see that the company trailing 12 months here has produced $1.8 billion here in terms of cash from operations. So quite a big decline here, but it was kind of expected as the earnings also went down. So oftentimes I'm not saying that they're hand in hand, but often when the company operationally doesn't produce so good earnings, oftentimes the cash from operations is also lacking here. So not so good for AMD and investors, obviously, but the share price is reflecting something else. So I think that the company has to come back and produce better cash flows here going forwards, and have to beat that of 2021 and 2022 terms of cash flows here, as those couple of years were actually pretty good. So I mean, obviously management has been able to produce much better cash flows, and yeah, they have to come back and beat those. And now for something positive here, which is the net debt. And we can see here in the most recent quarter, they did post a 2.9 billion here in negative net debt, which means that they have more cash than debt currently. And that's a very good situation, especially now in regards to the high inflation and high interest rates and so on. So the company does not have to pay huge, interest rates on their debt financing. So it's a very good situation to be in, to have a negative net debt in this environment for sure. And this also means that this company can go out and acquire other companies or other technologies, or make a lot of investments in their own research and development. So because they can use the balance sheet here, that's what this picture is telling us investors. And now for the share dilution of this company. And yeah, as we can see here in 2014, the company does actually have a 768 million shares outstanding. And over time, as you can see, they've actually grown this up until 1.6 billion here in the most recent quarter, 2023. And unlike many other bars that are going up in this type of metric, it is actually a bad thing, because this means that they have diluted the shareholders here by quite a lot, actually. So oftentimes you would like to see the opposite here, where the company buybacks the shares and eliminates them. But in terms of AMD's management here, they've decided to print more shares and increase the overall pool here of shares, meaning that the shareholders here have got massively diluted here for the past 10 years, unfortunately. And please do me a favor, if you do like the video, please do hit the like button or subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. And now to the margins of this company. So we can see that the margins here aren't super impressive, and this is because it's not a software company, but rather it profiled itself as a hardware company. So in the blue line, you have the gross margin. In the orange one, you have the operating margin. And finally, you have the green one, which is the profit margin. Starting now with the gross margin, we can see that the company has a 45% gross margin, which is not super impressive. This is like on par with many industry companies. We can also see here that the operating margin is actually negative here at minus 0.41%, which is not very good. However, we can see that the profit margin here for the most recent quarter here, trailing 12 months, is actually positive here at almost 1%. So it's certainly the operating margin here which they're struggling with. In 2021, they did post a 22.2% operating margin, but now in 2022, it came down to 5.4% and now negative here in the most recent quarters. So this is where they have their problems with the profitability. It's like the operating margin is way too low. And if it's way too low, as it is now with negative, it's impossible almost to have a profit margin unless they're selling some business or something that they're getting rid of, basically a divestment or something like this. So this is the struggle, and this is where we can see the biggest possibility here for management to improve something. So they have to improve their operating margin and come back to that of, 2020 and 2021's 22% here. Otherwise, it's going to be tough here going forwards to secure this kind of valuation that the company currently carries. In a groundbreaking move, AMD has recently unveiled its latest foray into artificial intelligence. The company has announced a cutting-edge development in AI technology that could revolutionize the way we experience computing. This isn't just about raw processing power. AMD is strategically positioning itself to be a major player in the AI landscape. And what makes this announcement so significant, you might ask? Well, AMD's new AI advancement promises to enhance not only gaming experience, but also power next-gen applications in various industries. From healthcare to finance, the potential applications are vast. The company's commitment to pushing the boundaries of AI technology is setting the stage for a new era in computing. The new chip from AMD, which is the MI300X, stands as a testament to AMD's unwavering commitment to revolutionize the graphics processing landscape. This state-of-the-art graphics processing unit not only showcases remarkable performances, but also underscores AMD's dedication to pushing the boundaries of innovation in the semiconductor industry. With advanced features and exceptional capabilities, the MI300X positions itself as a leading force in the realm of high-performance computing, setting a new standard for the graphics excellence and powering the next generation of computing experiences. Now, the big question for investors is, how will this impact AMD's stock? The intersection of AI and semiconductor technology is a lucrative space, and AMD's strategic move could be a game changer. The stock market is sure to react, so keep a close eye on AMD's performance in the coming weeks. However, we have seen quite a dramatic stock price appreciation here of late, so it's going to be very interesting to see what they will deliver here in the next report that will come in a couple of days here. I included this post from Twitter in my NVIDIA video here that I made a couple of days ago, but I think it's pretty relevant also for AMD, where you can see that the addressable market is quite huge here. So, it would amount to, several trillions of dollars in terms of, sales potentially here that AMD could also take market share from. So the upside here of selling these chips to the market, to these data centers that needs and requires these AI GPUs is just massive and huge. So in conclusion, AMD's venture into AI is a bold move that holds tremendous promise. As the tech landscape evolves, it is exciting to see companies like AMD pushing innovation to new heights. And what are your thoughts about this AI breakthrough? Please do share your opinions in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. And don't forget to hit that like button if you did find this update intriguing. Thanks for watching again, and see you in the next video.